A ranked season ends soon, and you probably want to end up as high as possible. However, you've already tried everything you can, and yet, for some reason, you just can't hit gold, platinum or diamond border. It's okay, because today we will create very simple plan that will let you get better in just a few weeks and hopefully achieve your goals. Usually when we think about climbing as a carry, we imagine us being the main star of a game, us being insanely fat after the laning phase, so we can just run around the map and smash everyone until we get the 3 Nexus explosion. What if I told you that this is not what makes AD carry pro players and elo boosters climb so easy and fast through their lower ratings? League of Legends exists for 10 years, and for 10 years people complain about their teammates being bad and some games being unwinnable. For 9 of these years, Riot always answered, the result of your game relies only on you, but this year something changed. About a month ago, Riot finally recognized the existence of what they call Rule 40-40-20. In general terms, the 40-40-20 rule boils down to the fact that in any case we will lose 40% of matches, in any case we will win 40%, and in the remaining 20% result depends on us. It means that the most important thing for climbing the ladder is the ability to always show a high level of gameplay. But how come though? Well, basically these 20% of games decide what rating do we have. If we consistently win 20% of the games, then we quickly go up. If we consistently lose, then we fall, and if we win only half of these games, then we are being stuck in one place. Main problem is that we don't know what type of game we are playing at the moment. That is why it is important to play in every game at our maximum capabilities, regardless of how good or bad your teammates and what is the game score. Okay, but what high level of gameplay does exactly mean for a random dude that just wants to get to diamond? In order to understand this, I decided to conduct a small experiment on myself. I have 2 accounts, one is in promotional matches into diamond, the second hands somewhere on the bottom of platinum. How is that the task is almost solved on one account, and everything is so bad on the second? To answer this question, I carefully analyzed games from both accounts. For my analysis, I've used games where I played well from an account with high rating, and I've used games where I played poorly from an account with low rating. It is important to know that I've judged the level of my gameplay regardless of the final result. That means that I could have lost the game, but played well, or won the game, but played bad. Result of this analysis were 2 short lists, one with what I did well in my good games, and other with what I did poorly in my bad games. After I compared this list with each other, I got 4 skills that I always did well in good games, and always did poorly in bad games. Based on this, I conducted that if you would get these 4 skills to a level where you will automatically do them well in every game, then you will be able to easily reach diamond over and over again. Also, I want you to understand that these skills didn't come out of the blue. Once upon a time I picked up them from Korean professional players, mostly from their stream VODs and guides that I translate for this channel. So, today we'll figure out what 4 skills you need to learn from such great AD carry players as Bang, Ruler, Terry and Seungkyun, in order to learn how to quickly and efficiently climb to diamond. Let's dive in. I learned first skill when I was studying Bang's first person VODs on Varus. Back then he was still a SKT player. The skill is that he always positions himself on the same line as ranged minions. Thanks to such positioning, his traits are always favorable for him, even if the trait wasn't imposed by him. To any auto attack or single target skill, Bang responds not only with his own auto attack, but also with damage from all ranged minions, since they automatically attack opponents that is trying to harass Bang. Other players, and even today's Bang, constantly come out of their minion wave, hoping for an opponent's mistake, hoping that they won't be punished for such an aggressive action. However, Bang of SKT times was convinced that he would be able to win games simply by playing at his maximum, without coin flipping in hope of gaining a random advantage. Since first skill is very simple, there will be another one that I also learned from Bang. Second skill is to help your team in fights in your own part of jungle and in the river. If you are sure that invade down by your jungler is a good idea, help him there too. It is worth clarifying here what's so special about this skill. Just take a look at the situation. Nowadays a lot of low elo players would have just kept out attacking this tower in order to get more gold from tower plates. I know, at least I would. I would have even come up with explanations on how I need more gold in order to solo carry this game. But Bang's moves to help his teammates almost immediately. Why? Special thing about solo queue is that the most often winner is not the one with better late game, but the one who seized advantage at the beginning of the game and finished game as quickly as possible. Without a doubt, if you need to finish off 2 waves of minions under your tower, you must stay and finish them. But if you are talking about 3, 4, sometimes even 5 minions, then Bang always choose option of losing these minions in order to help his team. Main difference between Ruler and everyone else is how aggressively he plays during lane phase. Donghop has a great video about it. Link to his video should appear in the corner of your player. The question is, how does Ruler manage to play so aggressively and at the same time consistently benefit from such inconsistent playstyle? The fact is that he has clear understanding of bot lane matchups. There are 3 types of possible champions combination in the bot lane: all-in, poke and sustain. The type of combination is determined by the type of supports champion, and each combination has its own goals and weaknesses. Let's go through them. Let's take a look at this example. Both teams have all-in combinations. Both teams want to kill each other and gain advantage. This is why we have such a mess right from the start of a game. Of course, not every game will look like this, because here we see both teams trying to actualize positioning mistakes done by their opponents. But this example shows main idea of all-in combination. All-in combination win through killing their opponents. Its task is to catch right moment and make one good attack in order to get a good trade or even kill from it. If you could engage should eventually snowball into a big lead over your lane's opponent that you should use to snowball the game through forcing objectives. Keep attention to how Ruler and his support are playing first minute of the game. Lane didn't even start, but they already working on their goal. Poke combination wins lane through constantly dealing damage from afar, while not letting opponents get too close to themselves. Note how Ruler didn't try to auto-attack his opponent even once. But why? Because his auto-attack range is the same as his opponent's auto-attack range. This means that if he auto-attacks one of them, he will get hit back, which is trade, not poke, and our goal is to poke. After a bit of time, our opponents will be forced to recall, which will make it possible for us to inflict damage onto their tower or get objectives like Dragon. Sustain combination, just like poke combination, win through constantly dealing damage to the opponents. However, rather than achieving it through another damage, it achieves it through the constant short skirmishes with the opponent. This is exactly what Ruler and his support do in this game. They are trying to dodge poke from Fiddle and Seaver, while trading around Lulu's shield. If it's up, they are trying to fight, if it isn't, they back off. These short skirmishes gradually lead to a situation when your opponent will be low on health, while you won't, because all of their damage was blocked by your support's shields or heals. Obviously, you should use the situation to get some kind of a lead in terms of objectives. Tower plates, dragons, invades wins your jungler, maybe even kills. But how to determine the type of support you are playing with? Some supports can do 2 things at the same time. For example, Nami has sustain through W and all-in with Q. This is done quite simply. Take a look at what ability your support maxes first. For example, Nami maxes W first, therefore she is a sustain support. Pyke maxes Q first, therefore he is an all-in support. And Janna nowadays maxes W first, therefore she is a poke support. It is also worth noting that AD carry also affects the combination, but doesn't determine its type. Instead, type of AD carry determines how strong or weak the combination will be. Determining the type of AD carry is a bit more difficult than support's type, because AD carry is usually equally strong in 2 things. In order to determine the type of AD carry, you should think what makes special a certain champion. Usually AD carries that are strong in short trades have a quick and strong ability combo that can cause big damage to the opponent. For example, Jhin with his Q plus auto attack, or Lucian with his Q plus auto attack. AD carries that are strong in long trades usually have something that enhances their damage over a long time. For example, Vayne whose damage dealt determined by the number of times that she was able to apply 3 stacks of her W, or Xayah who have W that increases her attack speed. AD carries that are powerful in poke damage usually have a long range auto attack or long range skill. Vivid examples are Caitlyn with auto attack range of 650 or Varus with his Q. Alright, so we know about support types and we know about the ADC types. What's now? Last thing that we need to know about the bot lane matchups is that all-in supports prefer the carries that are strong in long trades, poke supports prefer poke AD carries, and sustain supports prefer the carries that are strong in short trades. If you combine your champions in this way, then your combination will always be as strong as possible. Also don't forget that it is generally believed that all-in combinations are stronger than sustain combinations, that are stronger than poke combinations, that are stronger than all-in combinations. It doesn't mean that you can't win against a stronger combination, but be ready that laning will be tough for you. One of Teddy's specialties during laning phase is his ability to constantly find windows to harass his opponents, while being able to last hit all or almost all minions. Let's try to understand how he does it. First of all, Teddy understands exactly how he should harass. Let's suppose you are playing as a sustained combination. In this case, you want to skirmish the opponent as often as possible, since your support can easily heal you or protect from incoming damage with his shield. Playing poke combination is a little bit different. When you are playing as a poke combination, you want to harass only in situations when you are sure that opponents won't be able to retaliate. When playing as a link combination, harass practically isn't required for you. You want to harass only in situations when you are sure that your opponent won't be able to retaliate, which only happens when he does a big mistake. Example of such mistake is opponent being too far from his ally, which gives you opportunity to inflict free damage at him. Secondly, Teddy correctly uses slow push technique. This technique makes last hitting easier, while giving him windows of time to harass his opponent. First thing that newcomer AD carry usually learns is the ability to last hit 100 minions in 10 minutes on an empty map without any opponents. Then he goes into a real game and discovers that he can't last hit so many minions while simultaneously harassing his opponent if he's in a good matchup, or while not getting too much damage if he's in a bad matchup. All of this because he doesn't know about slow push technique. Let's go over a few examples of Teddy's gameplay in order to bring everything together in our heads. Example number 1. You come to lane and you are in a matchup where you can fight for getting level 2 first. Usually this means that you either have a ranged support or both you and your opponent have melee support. In our game Teddy have ranged support while his opponent has melee support, plus Teddy didn't need to leash for his jungler. Teddy gets level 2 first, his opponents move away from him to a safe distance. What do you usually do in situations like this? Usually you push the lane as hard as you can, you constantly auto-attack minions. What does Teddy do? He doesn't auto-attack minions at all, his auto-attacks only last hit minions. What does this give him? While there are no minions that needed to be last hit, he is looking for options to harass his opponents, which forces his opponents to miss the minions or receive free damage. It is worth noting here that since Teddy is able to succeed in his harassment, he can try to dive here, when his minions finally reach our opponent's tower. Diving will be especially easy in this situation, since he is laning with a lane support after short lags, and since his jungler came to dive too. What you need to realize here is that even though opponents didn't die, this dive was a huge success, because Severe lost a huge amount of golden experience from minions that she wasn't being able to last hit. Another thing that you need to understand is that you don't need your jungler to dive in a situation like this. In order to do this without jungler, your support should start a dive by leading his crowd control onto the opponent's AD carry. Even if dive ends with a simple exchange of your support's life or life on opponent's ADC, it is still worth, for reasons we discussed before. Of course, often your support doesn't understand the game well enough and refuses to dive. But even in this case, slow push is beneficial for you, because it allows you to harass opponent while he tries to kill minions under his tower. It is also worth noting that this type of gameplay is used by Teddy not only during first levels, but also throughout the entire laning phase. If he is in equal situation with his opponent, or he and his support are stronger than their opponents, he almost always uses slow push. Slow push is simply more profitable than a quick push, which is used by almost all AD carries below diamond. Example number 2. Let's suppose that you are in a disadvantageous matchup, or for some reason your champion is in a weaker state right now compared to your opponent. In this case you have to let opponent to slow push towards you. As we can see, Teddy leashed for his jungler, while Ezreal didn't. This gave Ezreal advantage in terms of getting control over minion wave. In a situation like this, approach minion wave only if you need to last hit minion, and only if it's safe for you. You don't need to try to trade with your opponent, just let him push minions into your tower. This is exactly what Teddy does. Of course, you have to be careful, because your opponent can use the slow push for a dive, but as I already said, junglers and supports below diamond rarely use such opportunities. In addition to this, if you have full health and you have both of your summoner spells, then you can outplay an opponent who decided to try to dive you in such conditions. One of the first videos on this channel was translation of Sangyun's guide to Sivir, link will appear in the corner. In this guide, Sangyun very interestingly described how he approaches teamfights. Let's figure out it together. First step can be performed during loading screen. Look at opponent's team and determine which particular opponent's abilities pose the greatest danger to you. Usually these are ultimates and hard control abilities. After you will be able to conduct such analysis before every game, and will be able to remember it throughout the game, you can move to the next level of the step. According to Sangyun, before each teamfight he always tells himself what he should be afraid of. In this way he prepares his brain in advance for what will happen, which makes his reaction speed much faster. Advantage of this approach is that not all champions always take part in every teamfight. so you can cross out in your head those dangerous skills that will not be used against you in the upcoming teamfight due to absence of certain champions. Second step is to understand how you will counter incoming abilities. There are 6 counter options: your summoner spells, additional items, your champion's defensive abilities, champion's abilities that are giving extra mobility, your capability to dodge incoming abilities, or you can just wait out until opponent uses his ability on someone else. Before each teamfight, you should look at which of these options are available to you and decide what exactly you will use against which ability. Third step that you must take before teamfight is to understand its purpose. Fact is that there are different situations in the game. Sometimes you want to have a full 5-on-5 teamfight. Then, without a doubt, your goal is to inflict as much damage as you can. Sometimes you're in a situation of 4-on-5 and all you want is to not die and to distract your opponent while your Tryndamere kills towers. Sometimes, by the time you can join teamfight, you already know the teamfight is lost and your goal is to survive and, if possible, get 1 or 2 kills to somewhat balance the situation. As you can see, goals are different and depending on the goal your behavior in teamfights varies. Think about it too. Alright, let's go over teamfight example from Sangyun's severe game in order to summarize everything. Step 1 and 1A, finding what is dangerous for us. In our example, Sangyun is playing against a team consisting of the following champions: Poppy, Zac, Yasuo, Kai'Sa and Brand. So, danger for Sangyun is coming from Zac's slingshot and Yasuo whirlwind. Poppy is dangerous in that he can stun him into the wall. After Brand's ultimate, Sangyun should move away from his teammates, and also he should be afraid of Brand's Q-stun. Since it's 5-on-5 fight, he can't cross out any of dangers. Step 2. What does Sangyun have to counter dangerous abilities? Sangyun has both summoner spells available: Sever's Shield, Guardian Angel, Phantom Dancer and Neither Tabi. Step 3. How should he use them against dangerous abilities? He will use Sever's Shield against Zac's slingshot. Guardian Angel gives him opportunity to not be afraid of Yasuo's ultimate. He plans to dodge Q and ultimate from Brand. Flash allows him to avoid Zac's ultimate or Poppy's stun. Phantom Dancer and Neither Tabi will allow him to have an advantage in a 1-on-1 battle against Kai'Sa, who can jump onto him with the help of her ultimate. As we can see, everything went well from a standpoint of counteracting opponent's abilities, until Brand didn't hit his Q from the duck, thereby depriving Sangyun's ability to counter Q by dodging it. Before ending the video, I will tell you bonus 5th tip, but first I have to make some short announcements. Please do not go anywhere. First of all, this channel now has an option of paid subscription, similar to a paid subscription at Twitch. If you want to support the channel, then this is a great and easy way to do it. In addition, depending on the size of your support, you will receive different pleasant bonuses. Secondly, I am not just making videos about self-development in League of Legends. I also try to learn the skill in practice. If you are interested in looking at my learning process, then go to my stream on Twitch TV. Thirdly, I also have Discord, where I post links to various video guides that weren't made by me, but which I really liked. Link to Discord can be found under the video. Fourth and the last, if you enjoyed the video, please like it. This will help in distributing the video. More people will understand the game, less of them will blame their problems on others, which will reduce the amount of flame on our games. You can also write a comment, I usually respond to almost all comments. Of course, if you don't want to miss new videos like this, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell. When I finished analysis of what exactly affects my in-game performance stability, I realized that I didn't learn anything from my beloved AD carry Prey. This made me a little bit upset, so I asked myself, is there anything where Prey is much stronger than other ADCs and which cannot be measured by statistics? Answer came to me almost instantly: his relationship with Gorilla. These two players have been on the same team for 6 years and 4 of them they played together. Judging by their interview, they went from regular colleagues to good friends. They even refused offers from other teams that didn't want to buy them as duo. Now you are probably thinking, Gnom, but what kind of long relationship can be between me and support, with whom I will spend 15 to 40 minutes and will never see again? Are you trying to tell me that I should play in duo? No, my advice is much simpler, just do not flame support. Fact is that all games where I somehow offended my support were much more difficult than those where I had a good relationship with my support, even if he played poorly. I understand that often our supports do impossibly stupid things, and that often support is a role for people who aren't qualified enough for other roles or just play for fun. However, every time a support makes a mistake, one must remember that after this game you will never see him again, and the chance to win this game is high if your support is in a calm state of mind. You can ask your support to play in a certain way, in a short and neutral manner, but don't try to hurt him. If you want to flame your support, just express everything you think about him out loud, but don't write anything to the chat. After all, don't forget that support is the most unpopular role in a game. In a large number of games you will play with support which was automatically put on this role by matchmaking system. He just can't know everything he should know to play this role to perfection. If you will spend your energy and nerves on every out-of-field support player, eventually you will just go crazy and get some kind of a ban. In the end, I want to say that all the rules are made to be broken. Over time you will understand that in certain situations you can move away from the rules described in this video, but before you do this, first learn to play by the rules. I hope you enjoyed the video and that it will help you raise your rating. Just remember that every habit needs time to settle in your head. Thank you for watching until the very end. See ya.